Hello guys, welcome to my video. Today we're going to be learning about the London system. It's an opening where you play first d4, they play d5 or knight f6 or any first move. That's normal. And then you go bishop to f4. So this up here it says it's the accelerated London system, but this is what people usually call the London system. Some people could start with knight f3, then go bishop c4. No, sorry, bishop f4, but usually, people who play the London system first go bishop f4. So after bishop f4, let's just say I just want to show you the setup first. Knight f6. Let's say they play any random move. You can go e3, like giving some scope to the bishop, and after e6, you can go knight f3. And basically, what you want to do is after bishop e7, you don't have to play it in the exact move order that I'm showing you. You can play it in any move order. But first you gotta play d4, bishop f4, or knight f3, bishop f4. Then you have to go for the move order thing that I'm talking about. So after bishop to e7, you go c3, and this is one of the main parts of the London system. You make a pyramid, and this square right here on d3, it's usually reserved for this f1 bishop right here. It'll do very, very good on that square. It's gonna target h7. It's gonna it could always go back to c2 if targeted with any pawn moves like c5 to c4, and it always there's always a chance that after c5 they kind of weaken the b5 square, and you can go bishop b5, and if they block, you get knight e4. But you don't have to go into all that stuff. This is usually just a pyramid that's made for this bishop right here. So, and the pyramid, there's also a different reason. This makes your pawn structure solid. So let's just say they go there. You always have two pawns defending that. So this d4 pawn is very secure. Okay, so we made the pyramid. Then after castles, let's say they go c5 after we play bishop b3, and we put our bishop on the diagonal like we talked about. Let's say they go c5, and after knight b2, if they go c4, this is actually, kind of good for us, because after bishop c2, you can go e4, takes, and then you can make that pawn weak. But of course, you don't take immediately because you lose your knight. But you can take that pawn, and that pawn's a little weak, a little overextended. But I'm not saying you're completely winning. I'm not saying you're like +5 or something. But this is a little good, better for you positionally. And yeah, after you really want to play for e4 after they go for this. But let's say they don't do that. You can keep your bishop on d3, and after knight c6, you can you have to not you have to, but you can castle. Then it's probably the one of the better moves here, and you're looking for usually rook e1 and then going for e4, or if they have way too much pressure on this pawn and you can't go e4, the other plan is to go knight e5. I'm not saying that e4 is better than knight e5 and knight e5 is a sub plan. They both are equally good plans, and you can play for which one you want first. Okay, so let's first look at e4. Here, the pawn is defended enough for now, so let's say they go bishop d7, trying to develop. Here we can go e4 immediately, but usually I like to go h3 first, because if we go e4, they have the chance to play knight h5 and attack our bishop. And if we go bishop b3, they trade it off, and that bishop's good. So usually I like h3, and let's say they play, some move developing the rook. Now we can go e4, and if they go knight h5, we can go bishop h2, and we don't lose the bishop pair. And we still have that strong bishop right there. So that's why I usually like playing h3 before I go for e4, so it's a preparatory move. And let's say after e4, first of all, if they don't take, you can transpose into an advanced front. That's a little advanced thing. It's where it's like a different opening, the advanced front, and you have some attacking chances in knight e1 and f4. But you don't have to do all that. Or you can just take on d5, then go. Then you can go knight e4, man, or all over the place. Knight e5. Then if they take, of course you can take with the bishop or the knight. I usually prefer the knight because now you're getting more control of the g4 square. And if they go f5, this pawn becomes really weak, and this just hangs a pawn. So let's say they just take. Here you can take with the knight, but if you have an isolated pawn, then it's best that you don't trade pieces, like especially minor pieces. So, it's best that you take with the pawn according to me. And if you have an isolated pawn, see now these two pawns are gone off the pyramid, but since they're gone, you have more open lines to play for, and you can start like attacking your opponent. Like, let's say you can go like a3 stopping, sorry, not a4, a3 stopping this, and then you can go queen d2 and knight g5. That's one play, and you can go for, or maybe you can get some potential Greek gift somehow. But yeah, potential. I'm not saying this is the play you should go for, of course. Not knight g3, bishop f8 takes h7 immediately. I'm just saying that this could be a potential plan in the future if they let you do the Greek gift. And if they don't, it's still fine. You can still go for a normal attack. And so here, there's also another plan of knight e5 where you attack this, and if they take your knight, then you just take back. So that's all fine. And then so here, yeah, this is one of the positions you might get out of the London, and you can get some attacking chances. So yeah, that's one. Well, that's one plan. If they take on e4, let's say they don't take on e4, let's say they ignore it with like, I don't know, let's say a move like knight f6 was let them put your knight there. First of all, you can go e5 and transpose the advanced French. And that actually might be a better advanced French for us. After knight e8, their knight is bad. And it's kind of hard for them to get to f5. And they can go g6, there, but, they can always take it. So, yeah, that's, if you can go e5 if you want. Or you can go, like, you can combine the two plans with after takes knight e5. But usually I feel like e5 would be a good move, and then after 98, you're now this pawn gets a little weak, and you can start pressuring that with like moves like 91, queen d2, f4, f5, and go for an attack, pawn storm like that. So yeah, that's another plan if they ignore you, and yeah, those are some plans for e4. Now let's look at 95. So for 95, I mean, you can go h3. It's not like necessary. If you want, you can, and like maybe you're uncomfortable with like after takes, or after there, and then you go there. They go there, knight h5, and then like let's say you play some waiting move, or you move the bishop back, takes, and maybe you're not comfortable with this pawn structure. So if you want, you can go h3. But usually I have to go knight e5 immediately, and if they, first of all, if they take with the pawn, and by the way, I was talking about knight h5, if we go queen b3 or queen a4 in the future, but not now. So, yeah. Anyways, after knight e5, if they take, then we can take on e5 with the pawn, because right now their knight is very like weak. If they go knight e4, then takes, you win a pawn. Knight g4, you take a free knight. Knight h4, queen takes h5, that's a free knight. So, which means they only have one square to go. 98. But then you can start a very powerful attack starting with queen h5. If they go g6, their light squares, their dark squares become weak after queen h3, bishop h6, and then you can start an attack then. And so let's say they go 98, you go queen h5, they go g6. Like we said, their dark squares become weak, and their rook is very passive. And if they go h6, you could sacrifice your bishop, and if takes, they have to stop this checkmate after knight g7. They can't do anything. So sorry, knight g7, they can't do anything. So probably like they have to go f5, but then you can take it, and there's only one move to stop that. They have to go knight takes f6, and I mean you could like go for the repetition, but I think here you would have a strong attack after e4 and takes, and you completely open up the king side. And if e4, you're also threatening e5, trying to go there. So they might have to go rook f7, but then you have strong attack. So, and let's see what the engine says about this. Yeah, here the engine says it's +4 after queen g5 check. Apparently knight takes f6 was a mistake. Rook takes f6. Then you go queen h7, still plus 0.5, so you could somehow get that piece back and go into an endgame that's better for you. So, you know, that's one thing you could get out of the if the knight goes to e5. and let's say that they don't take, because taking is usually bad. So like, of course, they should ignore it. That's what they should do. And again, if c4, bishop c2, you play for e4. Even though that's already on e5, you should still play for e4. That's also a good play in that position. But let's say they don't go c4. Let's say like they go a6 and they try to go for like a queenside attack. You can't stop that with a4. But I mean, I don't think it really matters. Honestly, I think g4 might be one of the moves for starting an attack. Like, yeah, g4 might be actually fine, because after knight takes c5, if of course d takes c5, then you get this position, which is very good for you, and you get the attack and everything. I know it just says around equal, but it personally it's way easier to play with the white than black that position, because you just have more space. And yeah, g4 is fine. And the plan is like to go g5, queen h5, and start this like huge attack on their king, where they have to defend like an engine to survive. So yeah, that's the plan. You could play that, or if you just want to be, low key with your plans, you could go knight f3 and play a positional game, queen c2, b3, c4, and like slowly expand your position. And you could do that too. And if they ever start anything with b5, you can also take. I mean, I wouldn't want to ruin my pawn pyramid, but I mean, you could take, but I would recommend you not, because it would also activate your bishop. So it would also activate this bishop. So yeah, and usually you shouldn't take. So this is one point that could happen for knight e5, and of course they can't take. And if you really want to learn this move order with knight f3 and then bishop f4, like, some people actually play knight f3 because they're anticipating that, let's say their opponent plays, like, let's say their opponent plays g6 against knight f3, but against bishop f4 they play knight f6. That could be a way to trick your opponents by going knight f3 first, then bishop f4. But usually I just play bishop f4. I mean, knight f3, bishop f4, they transpose into the same position, so you could do that. But usually bishop f4 is first, and then yeah, you can go for e4, and if they go c4, you still go for e4. It's very good. And remember, this h3 plan to go for e4, so you don't get your bishop lost. And yeah, those are some general plans for the London system for white. So I might make a video about how to counter the London system in some time. Like, one of my favorite ways to play against the London system is like, it's like a Benoni setup, kind of like let's say d4, knight f6, bishop f4, c5. That's one of my favorite ways to play against the London system, but you gotta know a lot of theory with white for that, so yeah. And after d4, but if you like, you could also transpose into like after d5 and d6 or something, let's say anything. You could just go knight c3 and not play your London. That's what I would probably do with white. And then go, if they go a6, you stop it with that, and then bishop d7 or g6, whatever, e4, g6, then knight f3, and that's just a normal thing. So that's what I would probably do if you face d5. And if d4, e5, don't even try to go for London system. Just take it. If they go knight c6, you can defend the pawn, and if they go queen e7, you don't even have to go for the main line. You could literally just give back the pawn. You could just go knight c3, they take, then you go e4. Normal position. You don't need to go into all that England game and complications. And if they play the Dutch, you could still play the London. There's one thing, but you gotta remember h4 if they play h6, try to go for g5. And d6, you have to remember that it's kind of not safe to keep a bishop on d3, because they could have a potential e5, e4 push to get the 4. So, I would usually put the bishop on e2 instead, so I don't get 4 like that. But, yeah, and if they go for the Benoni immediately, of course you can just go back to your normal thing. I'm not saying the London, I'm saying the setup that I just showed you against the knight of 6 c5 thing. And, that covers all the main moves for black. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for more. Yeah.